Welcome to the show. It is time. We are here. We're going to rise. We are going to rise. We are going to up level. We're going to start this week off an awesome energy. So excited to have our live audience here. So thrilled that all of you on Spotify and Apple and LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, wherever you are streaming this in. So happy to be together today. Let's rub our hands together, get ready to balance the right and left hemisphere of the brain, and let's get ready to make this week epic. This week gets to be epic. What we're going to be talking about today, I love when I get a whole bunch of questions that are the same question. People DMing me, texting, emailing, coming to events that I'm running with the same question. And I'm going to speak today about one of the questions that I get asked so much right now, which is, do you use AI to write books? Should I use AI in my book writing process? How can I use AI in my book writing process? And I'm going to share really directly and very potentially, I don't know, maybe it's going to sound a little bit forceful because I have strong feelings about this. And I'm also going to reference Emerson, one of my favorite transcendentalist writers, and say that this is how I feel about it today. And I reserve the right to change my mind tomorrow, right? That was a famous quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. All right. So if you read the early American authors and the transcendentalist movement, you might know that one. We are in an unprecedented era. We are in a time of rapid growth. We are in a time when technology is changing, the world is changing, all kinds of stuff is going on. And we have at our fingertips now these tools that expedite things, that speed things up, that can do neat things for us in the world of artificial intelligence. And for me, I feel very, very clear about what my boundaries are and what my intentions are in how that informs a book writing process, right? So I'm really interested to have this conversation, and I'm interested to hear from all of you, and then message us, and you can let us know, kind of what you think about this. And I'm gonna share with some, some examples and some caveats. So our topic today is, should we, do we, how can we use artificial intelligence in the book writing process? And what I'm really, really, really clear on to start this conversation is where I won't use it. And that is to do any of the actual writing of the book itself. That's my personal choice. And I'll share my reasons why so that you can explore if that's a personal choice for you. Where I do like to use, I'm going to share with you where I do like to use AI, which is in research, which is in helping me find potential people to reach out to for book endorsements and generating spreadsheets of other thought leaders in my space. There's all kinds of ways that I like to use it. Your way doesn't need to be my way, but I want us to have a frank conversation about this because it's a question that's on so many people's minds. All right. So here's why I've made my choice for now, anyway, until anything would change, to not use AI to do any of my actual writing of the manuscripts for me. And that includes, I don't even have AI write emails for me or blog posts or articles or any of that stuff. And you might think, wow, that's really backwards. That's a terrible idea, Sarah. Why aren't you getting with the program? And the most important reason why to me, there are others, but the most important reason why for me is that AI does not have your essence, your soul, and your voice. And there is a neutering of voice that goes on. And we had a huge conversation with our writing coaches last week about this, and probably bring them on for maybe a part two if people are interested to get a few different, ideas. But the artificial intelligence does not have your unique voice, is so singular. Your unique storytelling, your unique point of view, your unique way of doing things is absolutely singular. It can exist in no other time in history and no other place on the planet than you. And if you let artificial intelligence, even if you kind of say your topic and have it, put in a podcast episode to kind of get your voice and you train it and all these things, I do feel that there is a disconnect that will happen between you and your reader. And if what people need right now more than anything in the world, if you've been training with us in the boot camps and different things that we've been doing, you know that right now more than any other time in recent history in 2024, that people need relevancy, they need intimacy, they need trust, and they need proof. And to put a barrier of something going in between your spirit, your soul, your voice, and the person receiving your writing, you can think, oh, it doesn't make that big a difference. It sounds kind of like me. And there are people who are really good at the prompts and training the AI. And I'm not saying I'm right. And I'm not saying that, you know, this needs to be your answer. And I'm not saying that there aren't people that have trained their AI to absolutely nail their voice. But I haven't seen it myself go to the level that matters to me about the soul connection that I want to make. It just it takes you out of your voice. It takes a lot of you out of the piece of writing. Like I said, if you are, you know, research, you're doing other things, I love it. I love it. I love how fast it is. I love how awesome. I love so many things and use it for those things. But I do not have it right because, and something we're seeing in our collective practice, because we have this, of course, amazing team of you know, writing coaches and editors that work with our clients in Thought Leader Academy, is that the best writing always, always, always comes through your voice. Even if you don't feel like you're a trained writer, like that's all learnable skills, right? And yes, if you want AI to fix punctuation and be a proofreader, or you want AI to give you the research points, and you want AI to go out and collect something you would have had to pay a research assistant or take hours of your time to say, what are the top studies and stats and graphics and news stories on my topic? Yes, 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 do that. Do it immediately. Do it today. Do it before you go to bed. But if you're coming to me to ask, you know, can I have it right? Should I have it right in my book? I don't believe in shoulds, but I wouldn't do it. I don't do it. And I don't do it most importantly because of the neutering and and sort of disassociation with your essence and voice. You're going to get something so much more general and generic, which is the whole thing that turns, you know, kind of glasses the eyes over, right? Those of you that have trained with us know about specificity and sensory data. Okay, so this is not about me having an agenda for you. I'm sharing because I get asked this question all the time. What do I do? And so that's what I'm sharing. Now, there are a couple other things to consider. So if you are considering wanting to be eligible for certain bestseller lists and awards, they will check if your book was written by AI, and you are out. You're out. It's not happening. Okay, because that's what the publishing industry right now has decided. So that's another thing. Now, you might not give a rat's you know what, right? You might say, I just want to write a great, you know, lead gen book. I want to, you know, kind of, so absolutely decide for yourself and use your intuition about, but we want to have this conversation for what should I be considering? What is good for me to consider around this topic? What would I lose if I have the beautiful gift of something just writing this thing for me, right? Versus what would I gain? And I would much rather use all the other cool hacks that we have at our disposal, which I'll share with you now, to expedite your writing process, but you're still writing your book. Now, if you're working with a ghostwriter that's like coming and interviewing you and learning your voice and whatever, that's a different situation. But I'm talking right now about ChatGPT and other things where it's like, oh, wouldn't that be great if it just, yeah, it would be great. The other issue is you are not connected to the material and that book or that article or that whatever in that deep soulful way. So the other way I see it backfiring on people, just people that have called me and said, oh, I kind of wish I didn't do it this way, is because then you go out to talk about your book, read from your book, do events on your book, do things, and you're not intimate with that material. I don't mean you don't know your stuff. I just mean like you are not necessarily, depending on how much AI a person uses to write it, you are not fully embodied with that work in the same way that you are when you sat there and wrote it. Now, I'm going to give you some shortcuts. I'm not going to leave you all hanging and say like, let's just, you know, pretend this isn't happening and there's no AI, but I want you to think about, are is having true intimacy, connection, trust, and proof with my person reading this important to me, right? You don't have to compare to what I'm deciding. I want you to ask yourself that question. And they want you to ask, are literary awards important to me? They may or may not be. Some of us they are, some of us they aren't. Do I want to be eligible for all bestseller lists or to be eligible in all, different, some bookstore owners won't have books written by AI. You have all kinds of things that you get to consider. So what's important to you? That's all that matters, is what's important to you. And we can still benefit and massively expedite the writing process in huge ways by using AI, but just not for the actual, creation of it itself. So what can that look like? Let's have some good news about this. If you're like feeling bummed out, this conversation is bumming you out, I'm gonna have some good news for you. Well, the first is you can use Otter AI or a transcription app, or Word, Microsoft Word has it now. And you can be, those of you that, have trained with me, this, you can be on the treadmill, driving in your car, doing all kinds of things, and you can be dictating your book. So it is in your voice. You are intimate. You are drawing out your unique stories. You are drawing your methodology, and you are dictating that piece of work, right? Then it gets put by the AI into a written form. And if you don't want to clean that all up, I'm still experimenting with this, but you can try to put it into, I'd say, take out the time tags and put the right punctuation, put this into book manuscript, don't change the word, but format this. Don't say, revise it, but format this with correct grammar and all of that kind of thing. That's all going to evolve. Those things will be available to us. Well, think how expedited this is. Now you've been on a walk and you've created a chapter that's all gotten cleaned up for you, and you're wonderful, right? Now, there are people who are very concerned about anything you put through the AI not being safe and confidential. The apps say it is, and people feel concerned that it's not. So you got to decide. I don't do that step. I do the Otter AI when I voice it, and then I email it to myself and I clean it up, right? So yet I love this. Amy in our audience today is saying the writing of your book has provided you with some of the greatest personal insights as to how you work, up-leveled how you do your work, and the personal victory. Yes, thank you, Amy. That is exactly right. The problem is, if we have a robot do it, we haven't learned anything. Most of our clients that come in Thought Leader Academy, many of them have been working in their craft as an expert for quite some time. And still, when they write the book, they reach a level of mastery and confidence and a level of incredible breakthrough in terms of them going out and being visible and taking on bigger stages and going out for bigger strategic partnerships because they feel more masterful in the work. None of that happens if we farm this out. That doesn't happen. So it's just something to consider. How important is mastery to me? How important is that singular voice connection, intimacy with reader? How important are awards or bestseller lists or, different publishing things? If any of those are important, then you may want to consider, yes, using the AI for research. Yes, using the AI to do transcription and voice it. Yes, using the AI, if there's formatting things that it can do. Yes, using the AI. You know what's fun? You could use the AI and say, here's a bit about my book. Write an awesome New York Times best-selling book cover description and see what it comes up with. And then riff on that. That's great. That's a description of your book. It's a synopsis. That's not where your unique voice, that could be cool. Write 15 sample book endorsements for a book about this and use your words. And then, reach out to people and say, hey, I've kind of already written an endorsement for you if it matches. You know what I mean? Like, there's all kinds of things. There's all kinds of things that you can use to let it expedite your process. But what I'm a stand for is your reader getting you. And so not particularly removing that particular piece. The other stuff, beautiful, wonderful. Here's another great one. What are the top 10 best-selling books on my topic? And you insert your topic and what is great about them, what's not good, what are the reviews that are good. That's amazing thing to do. Then it helps your marketing messaging for your book. What's not been covered already? What are they missing? That's a great thing that you don't have to go research. Use it for that. so there's all kinds of ways we can jump on this exciting train and explore and have it move us forward for our marketing, our visibility. You all know I've done a whole demo on going on and asking it to what are 100 podcasts that would be good for me to go on as the author of this book talking about these things. Please generate the names, the contact information, the, like, that's great. Use it for that. And then take a half hour and, dictate or write your next section of your book, right? So these are the things we want to consider. I'm so glad that so many of you have asked this question. I'm so glad to be having this conversation. I'm interested to hear, you may violently disagree with me, you may agree, you might agree on some things or not the others, but we want to really know what we're giving up if we choose to make that trade. Or do we want to use all this technology and all these wonderful advancements to do the pieces around it and still do our own writing? That's just, again, that's the choice I'm making for today. Okay. So that's the answer, right? That's why we've gotten all these questions. We're like, I'm going to answer that today on this episode. And now I want to shift gears and talk about the week ahead. There are so many people in the world right now who are in a holding pattern. They are waiting. And we can point to all the reasons. People are holding and waiting till after a certain date in November, depending on where you live in the world. They're holding and waiting on things in the economy, things in the world. And what's really interesting is there is an immediate relief, right? There's an immediate relief about, oh, what, like just those of you that are streaming live, joining in live, what's the payoff to waiting? Like, what's the real payoff? Like when you just say, oh, I'm not going to deal with anything or make any decisions or move anything forward or take action until X could be anything. It could be something personal in your life, until I move, until my kid does this, until this happens, until I make this amount of money, or it could be external, an election, an economic change, whatever it is, right? So, but what's the payoff? Think about it for yourself. What's the payoff to that mentality? I'm going to wait until fill in the blank. You pick something that you wait for until you're ready to take an action, make an investment, move forward. Yeah, well, I'll tell you the ones I've coached people for 20, years, and I've been in my own head for, a lot longer than that. The payoff is I don't have to freaking do it. I don't have to take action. I don't have to spend the money. I don't have to spend the time. I can go watch TV. I can just check out. I can whatever. I can just go be a consumer, not a creator. I can keep that money in the bank. There's all kinds of things that feel really nice. They create sense of safety. They create relief. I mean, think about, like, these are real payoffs, right? I know some of you are laughing. Yeah, Tanya, and that is exactly it. But what is it costing us? So I want everyone to think about something right now. And believe me, I'm doing this to myself. Okay. We're in this together. What is something that you have decided you're waiting on? It could be something you're going to invest in financially, invest your time, make a decision, move something forward, take a risk. Okay. So I want everyone just take a moment, and everybody listening, I want you to think of something right now that you are doing this with. Let's all conjure that up. Okay. And now write down the three best things about not needing to do that now. Like what are the three? Is it relief? Is it a sense of financial security? Is it it just is you're off the hook for taking action. You don't have to spend that time right now. Like, just identify for yourself your biggest payoff. I'm going to do it too. Okay, let's do that now. All right. You've got a payoff. There's always a payoff. If we haven't taken action on something, it's because there's a payoff. It's usually a payoff that's pretty nice. pretty juicy, pretty wonderful. Safety, relief, like just the freedom from not having to take a risk, risking whether that's rejection or judgment or failure or whatever it is we think could happen, right? Big payoffs. Now, I want us to all really honestly, with total love, no judgment, what is it costing? What is it costing you to not move forward on this thing? Okay, let's all just journal on that for a minute. All right. Is it costing you something? And when psychologists study the science of these choices and our motivations and behaviors and different things like this, often we underestimate the cost and we overinflate the payoff, meaning this relief I feel, this I don't have to risk this right now, I don't have to spend this money right now, I don't have to put in the time or face the fact that I don't feel like I'm good enough, and all the feelings that come, or the imposter syndrome or the gremlins that could come by moving this forward. What's really interesting is we think, first of all, we think those payoffs are maybe more beneficial than the costs, right? And so there's a bit of a distortion. And then the thing that we rarely let ourselves fully recognize is that by not doing it and giving ourselves this, I'll do it when, we're not actually maintaining where we are, we're regressing. We're actually, there's a backward movement, because the way life is formed is that we are either growing or going backwards. We're really not just staying. So meaning that when we decide to do this, if we actually do at some point in the future, it is going to be a much heavier lift than we often anticipate, because we kind of did that stagnation, regression, backwards movement. And I really didn't believe this until I observed in myself a couple of things that I put off. That I put off things, like I've put off things in this, that I would put in this category, like getting better at tax strategy, instead of just kind of going, oh, I'll just, kind of, file my taxes like in a very basic way, instead of learning what else. Well, that cost me in the moment. I was like, oh, good, I don't have to learn something new. And this feels kind of complicated. And, find someone who really knows what they're doing that's super ethical. And I don't want any, I want it all like really, really, anything I do. Well, that's probably cost me multiple six figures at this point. And if you'd asked me in the moment, hey, Sarah, do you want to save $300,000 over the next X years and just take like 2 stupid weeks and actually, talk to some people that know what they're doing? I would have felt like absolutely insane to not do that. It's like, do I want to pay an extra multi six figures because I get the relief of not having to learn something that I don't know and, figure something out and whatever? Like, that's just an example. There was a financial cost that I was in denial about. Right. I spent 2 decades wanting to be a writer and fantasizing about being a writer and kind of writing on my own, but not showing anyone and not getting any help and not learning about the publishing industry. And do I wish that I'd started publishing like when I first started getting the inspiration to be, yeah, I do. I do. I do wish that. But in the moment, I didn't have to face the fact that I didn't think I was good enough, and I didn't have to face the imposter syndrome. I didn't have to face that I would probably need to spend money to get, guidance and support and help to do that. And so it felt like relief. And so I just want to be really real here about, these are things, you all have your versions of these, perhaps, if you have been someone like me who, yeah, I've actioned a lot of things in my life, but I also delayed a lot of things that in retrospect would have been so much more advantageous for myself, my family, my finances, my sense of purpose, my sense of contribution, my legacy, impacting people, so many things that I do value, right? So where we want to take this to kind of pull it all right is not in some way to be like hard on ourselves or, be taskmasters and all this kind of thing. What we want to do is just say, is the cost worth it? And is the payoff actually as big of a payoff as I think? Is it aligned with my values? Or would I want to make a different choice? And would I want to take off the table waiting for either something external or in my inner world to be at a certain place before I do that? Or do I want to trust life that what I am seeking is seeking me? And if I've gotten the tap from the big magic to action something, to learn something, to create something, to contribute something, to invest something, to go to a next level, that I'm actually like, I'm going to be supported in that. And it's going to be good. It's going to be good for me, others in the world. Right. So I'm interested, Tanya in our audience today is saying, if we wait until the timing is perfect, the time is never. It's never going to be the right time for most things in our life. It's never going to be when everything falls in or the money's all lined up or the time is all lined up or the energy is all lined up. It's very rarely going to feel like that. And so then it's just like, ooh, what if I flipped this and I wasn't waiting? So what I want to leave you with is something fun. I hope this will feel fun, which is, what if, just don't get into like, am I deciding this, not deciding this right now? But what if you took that thing? This is what I want us to give us as our homework. All right. We took that thing that you've maybe hesitated on of, put some marker internally or externally around not doing, and said, what if I did do it now? What if I did it now? What if I actually said, this week, I'm going to move this forward right now, whatever that next step is, what it is. And then journal and free write and meditate on what could happen. What would happen in the way I feel, my self-esteem, my being, my confidence, my purpose, my impact on others, my finances, my health, my longevity, let's just, because we could be doing this around health stuff. We could do around creative things. We can do it around all kinds of things, right? What could happen if I actioned this now? What could happen? Right. And so, yeah, we decide. And then what could possibly happen if this really worked out and I went for this now? What would that change between now and the end of the year? And then I want you to write on what could change between now and the coming year in 2025. The decisions we make right now will determine our destiny for next year. Right now. Isn't that cool? And so that's what gets me off of my waiting, is to say, what kind of a year do I want to have next year? Do I want to pay it forward? There's a hysterical, I think it's Jerry Seinfeld does a great comedy routine on this, where he's talking about making decisions, like he's, talking about someone out, like making decisions about, going out and drinking or partying or whatever. And, people are like, oh, how are you going to feel in the morning? He's like, well, that's future Jerry's problem. Like that's future Jerry's going to deal with that hangover or that lack of sleep or that bad decision or whatever it was. But, like, this is nighttime Jerry. I'm just like, woo, he was just, doing this bit on it. Right. But while that's funny and hilarious, it's like, I want to pay something good forward to me in 2025. Like, I want to have an epic fourth quarter of this year. And that means me here in the middle of September making some decisions. So there's a decision. We worked on this in our boot camp on Saturday. We talked about decision making and 5 ways to make a powerful decision. And if you weren't at the boot camp and you want that recording, just DM me decision. And yeah, we got Amy Day. Amy Day's our resident decision guru, right? So what could happen? What if you did do it now? And there's something that I worked on over the weekend that I got clear is a yes. And I keep wanting to put it off for all the reasons, right? For all the reasons, because there's finances involved, there's time involved, there's the, other people are going to see what I'm doing involved. There's all the different things, right? So there's all the reasons, there's the payoffs. But if I really say, what do I want to set myself up for between now and the end of the year? I might have to do a whole workshop on this, and you can actually message me if you want this, because I'm really considering it. How, if you do this now and do some visioning on what you see for the next 1 to 3 years, what'll happen is life will bring you the opportunity to do it in the next 3 months. Last year, this happened for me. I thought the thing that was my 2024 plan, all of a sudden I got really clear on it around September, early October. And so many things came together in the fourth quarter that I'd actually executed everything I thought I was going to do in 2024. I got to come up with a whole new thing. How fun. Who would like that? Who would like to have an experience where you move yourself that far forward between now and the end of the year that you have to come up with a whole new plan for 2025? Okay. So if you all want a workshop on that, then you please message us and just say, yeah, year. Okay. Because I'm feeling fired up about this, especially being in it right now. Okay, good. So we're getting a lot of yeses. All right. So we're going to do something on that because it's so incredibly powerful. It's so incredibly powerful to take ownership of our destiny and do it now. All right. So that's going to happen. We will get with the team and figure out when we're going to do it. And we will make that available to you all. Who's going to have an epic week based on this? We have two things to think about. How are we using AI? And part two, just because it was so up for me and my own process that I wanted to bring it in today. What have you been putting off and waiting on, if anything? You might not be, but if anything, that you have made an external or internal, condition. I'll do it when, and what would be possible for you if you actually did it now. And that will lead you in the energy to go into this workshop that we'll do together on making your next year plan your fourth quarter. And then that's how you're going to make a 10x jump in 2025. All right. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I know the 12-week year, some of you have worked with that's a little bit like that. But again, we've got a more feminine, we've got a more flow, we've got a more creative energy, but I love it. The sentiment is so powerful. All right, you guys are awesome. I'm so excited. I will see those of you in Viral Visibility. I will see you later today. I'll see Thought Leader Academy tomorrow, if not before. Those of you that are just joining us, you're going to be onboarding, so don't worry about any of that stuff. We will have a special path for you, and you'll get all the details on that. And let's rock it out this week. All right, let's go for it. Let's play big. Let's make it an epic week and go make a contribution in our own lives and in the lives of the world. We got this. I'll see you guys later. Bye.